Hello, and welcome on into another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. I'm Will.
I'm Sarah.
No, Matt.
Today we're drinking J. Riddle and their peated bourbon.
Oh boy. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
All right, this is the J. Riddle Peated Bourbon with the coolest fiddly bits I've ever maybe seen on a bottle. Look at this.
That is really cool.
They look kind of like little L's or something. I don't know. They look cool. And it's got this cool bottom stuff here. Look at these fiddly
I like
bits.
that bottle.
This Porttown. This is just a cool, these nice wedge. Yeah. So they went to town on the fiddly bits. And the cool fox in the front. I think that's cool. I like that. Anyway, so this comes from Two Jane Spirits out of Detroit. It is located in Corktown, which is the oldest neighborhood in Detroit. It is the first licensed distillery in Detroit since Prohibition. It was created by Peter Bailey, David Lundrum, and Andrew Marr. And Bailey and Lundrum's fathers were named James. So they named it Two James Distillery. Yay! Original. They also make a vodka called 28 Island Vodka. And the reason it's named it is there's 28 islands in the Detroit River, which is where the bootleggers kept their whiskey. So that's kind of cool. So I also make the Grass Widow, which was made prior to Detroit's Prohibition. And this was a donation from our buddy, fellow sommelier, Cliff Smith. Thank you very much, Cliff. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cliff.
We love donations. We will review anything, but we like the donations. They're the best. Pete. I love peated bourbon.
Two of us really enjoy peat. One of us is not.
Yeah. So what this is a 91 proof, 79% Michigan corn, 21% Scottish peated barley, and is in a 53-gallon new oak barrel.
So it's not peated corn.
Nope.
It's peated barley that they're using as the enzyme enactor. Yep. Instead of using just normal barley, they're using an actual peated barley.
Correct.
So on the nose, I don't necessarily get the normal peat. I get corn.
I do too. This is very corn forward.
I get corn on the nose.
Yeah, you get corn and peat. I mean, malt. It's like
hay,
dusty old wood.
Dusty.
Yeah, it smells like a younger bourbon to me than it does the peated bourbon.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just the hay-like note that I get on it that makes it smell younger.
Mm-hmm. Do we have an age statement on this?
It doesn't have one.
Okay. What's the ABV again?
It is 45 and a half.
45 and a half.
Yes. So that's a very specific. So this must have been the flavor profile they were going for with it. But yeah, it's very antique shop, musty, wood shavings, furniture polish.
A little bit of leather on there.
Mm-hmm. You can tell they did use good barrels, though, because you don't get that nasty wood, thank God.
Funk. Yeah.
So that's a good news. So like they're using air kiln. I think when I was reading, I think they were using 18-month air dried from what I remember reading. So they're using good barrels. So
this is a peated bourbon. Do they put out just a regular bourbon?
The Grass Widow is unpeated.
Okay.
So now currently it's sourced from MGP, the Grass Widow, but
this is all them.
It is laid down, aging their current one by them. They make all sorts of cool stuff. It's a really cool distillery. Cliff went to the distillery and got this from the distillery. So we really appreciate that.
This is all them. There's nothing sourced in here that we know.
This is all them. Yeah, there's nothing sourced in this one, which is very cool with them. So yeah, this is batch 19.19-5. If anybody wants to know, just pretty cool. So, yep, distilled, produced, and bottled by. So they made it
right at the beginning with peat, but then really fades off very quickly.
It's really slight peat, and it's not your Ardbeggy peat. It's not that kind of peat.
No, it's not meaty umami.
It's not. It's not that what I find offensive medicinal Band-Aid peat. It's not that burnt rubber. It's actually way more corn forward. What's it?
Yeah, it's peat.
Like that one.
Wood. It's like an old museum with the old wood in it. Barn, dusty corn.
It's
some like caramel ribbons through it.
It's got a very dusty feel to it overall.
With vanilla and wood shavings. Yeah, it's very much, it's like an old museum inside of a barn. That's what really reminds me of.
It's really got a lot of barn tendencies for me, as far as like you got like a saddle and like a brand new saddle and fresh hay It's not like that worn hay, like
this is
watery.
The good barn notes, not the bad barn
Right,
notes.
the
I really
good
like this. I think this is probably my favorite peated bourbon I've tried. I've tried some other ones, like the one from New York, Kings County bourbon with peat. Pretty decent, but I think it's a little bit better.
Other ones have been much more heavy-handed with the peat. This is very lightly thread of peat.
Yeah, this is a nice balance.
It's barely even there. For me to say that, it's barely even there. Like normally, really even like the Balcones peated, I'm okay with that. It's not my favorite, but it presents itself way more peatier.
Yeah, and plus that's malt too. So I really like this. I think this is good.
I think the corn forward on this makes a big difference as far as the peat goes for me.
I think the peat note actually dials up a bit with the drop of water. I wanted to see if she felt the same.
Slightly, but it's still not offensive. It's a completely different kind of peat.
I don't taste any iodine. I don't taste
There's
any
no medicinal characters at all.
I wouldn't call this hospital. I wouldn't call it anything like that.
I can tolerate this. This is actually a pretty good peated bourbon. And I put the quotation marks in there because it doesn't present itself as peat.
I think the peat is just giving it a richness, a depth.
I think so too.
And it's kind of covering up some young notes.
Yeah,
it's the way I'm feeling about this right now. It's just on first impressions.
It's toasty. It's more of a toasty note.
Toasty, yeah.
Like toasted barley more than anything.
Yeah, as opposed to peated barley. I mean, they might have, toasted it with peat.
They might not have done it for very long.
It might not have been very long.
That's true too.
Or there's so much more corn in it than there is.
Pretty high.
I'm sorry.
Maybe it's the straight because it's Michigan corn too. Maybe that makes a difference in it too.
Could be too. The type of corn.
Corn varietal here is different than your standard yellow dent too. It's a Michigan corn. So I don't know. All I know is I think they did a really good job. Like I said, the distillery hasn't been around that long. I think they said they opened, I want to say like 2010, I think, something like that. So these products aren't very old. They can't be. But I think they did a really good job.
As it's sitting here, the barley comes forward a little bit more than the corn as it's opening up in my glass, but the peat is still not forward on it.
Yeah, but these guys are really into innovation and experimentation. So I look for a lot of really cool stuff to come out of this distillery long term. And I know Cliff that we went to visit, they have all sorts of cool products constantly. So I'd love to have these guys on the stream. I think they'd be really interesting to talk to.
Yes,
and see, maybe reach out to these guys. I think this is a cool product. And thank you once again, Cliff. This was awesome. Thanks for going to the distillery and picking this up for us. This was freaking great.
Thank you very much, Cliff.
Did you look up an approximate price point for this guy, Matt?
It's not bad. It's like $40.
That's not bad.
Beautiful. Okay. I'd pay that for this.
And is this distillery only?
No, you can get it, but you can't get it here. But you can get it up there. But he happened to go to the distillery for us because he knew I saw it on somebody else's stream. I was like, oh, I really want to try that. And he's like, oh, I brought you a bottle. So when he was on there on a business trip, he went to the distillery for us and got it because he just happened to be in the distillery. So it was worked out perfect.
Thank you.
I love donations like that. That's my favorite.
We really appreciate our fans.
We really appreciate you. Yes.
Absolutely. We really do. You are amazing people.
Yeah, this is the first one we're actually doing from Cliff. Cliff gave us several other bottles. I call Cliff the Unicorn Whiskey Fairy because he seems to come up with all sorts of crap I can't find. Like he gave me a 17-year Imperial. Imperial's gone. Like he found an Imperial.
Well, he's up in Connecticut, so he's got a completely different market.
Totally different. He's come up with all sorts of cool crap that I was asking for. He found Ben Nevis's and just really fun stuff.
Yeah,
nice.
So we will get to them at some point, but this is great. I like this a lot. So, yay, good peated bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, for me to say that too. Yeah,
for real. We call this a win.
Like I said, the peat does not present itself like the peat I don't like does.
Right. She was not looking forward to this review.
I wasn't looking forward to it, and I actually enjoy it. So
that's saying something big.
That's saying something. Now, if it was more,
Sarah likes peat.
No, we're not going to go that far because this is not the kind of peat that you want me to like. You want
this
me
might
to
be
like
a step in that direction. We'll find out when we review the next peated thing.
Well, for the fact of the matter that it doesn't present itself like peat is what makes the difference.
That's true.
I mean, if
this is very corn forward.
It's very corn forward. It does have the slight barley to it, but again, the peat is just
little.
I swear it's just like
maybe 1 ppm,
if even that, like, because it doesn't present itself at all. So, anywho, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and click that notification bell. And until next time,
put more peat and more whiskey.
No, try again.
Keep on crusading for the whiskey in your glass.
Cheers.
Shot.
Still on the end, it's been sitting there and it's still just that dusty corn.
Dusty barnyard,
and I mean, I'm really curious to know like what they did for the smoking with the peat with this. Like,
I want to taste this that's been in a super charred barrel to kind of bring it more of a smoky note, and then also that's been aged a little bit longer.